Nowadays, on social media, there are tons of videos in which English teachers say things like, "Don't use this basic word, use this advanced word instead." And then they give you a word that doesn't even mean the same thing in most situations. Or they tell you to use business English instead of normal English, but all that they do is make a longer sentence to try to make their English sound more interesting, which is the opposite of what you usually want to do when communicating for business. So in this video, I'm going to try my best to help you understand the truth about basic English, advanced English, business English, idioms, and all the other things that people are talking about in these videos. But we need to start with why you are learning English. Most people are learning English because they want to communicate in English. And if you are a normal person, you probably want to communicate well. To communicate well basically means that when you say something, the other person understands what you mean and feels the way that you want them to feel, or does the thing that you want them to do. And usually, the best way to do that, especially when communicating with people from other cultures, is to be clear and direct. Say what you mean. If you are indirect and you say to someone, "That's an interesting idea," instead of saying, "I disagree with you," it's very possible that they will not understand that you disagree with them. They might even think that an interesting idea means a good idea. Are there ways to make our language a bit softer? Yes, there are, and in many situations it is a very good idea to do that. But my point here is that when communicating with people from different cultures, it's usually best to use clear and direct language. Say what you want to say. And sometimes you will also need to use very simple language. For example, when I teach English, I don't use a lot of idioms in my explanations. This is because if I used a lot of idioms, it would make it more difficult for you guys to understand me. And my goal in communicating with you is to help you understand things more easily, not to confuse you. Should you learn idioms? 100%. Yes, you should. Native English speakers use idioms all the time. And if you want to be able to understand things that native speakers say, you will need to learn some idioms. But do you need to use them? No, you don't. If you want to use them while you're talking to native English speakers, go ahead and use them. That's fine. However, 99% of the time, they're completely unnecessary. Learn idioms. But don't let anyone tell you that you need to use idioms to speak English well. When people say advanced words, I think they usually just mean big words, words that have 3 or more syllables. These words are really important because they allow us to express very specific ideas using just one word, and that is a very useful thing to be able to do. Just as an example, we have the word microscopic. This means that something is so small that you can only see it using a microscope. This word allows us to be very clear about how small something is, using just one word, instead of having to say, "so small that you can only see it with a microscope." Again, that is a very useful thing to be able to do. The problem here is that people make these videos saying things like, "Don't say very small, say microscopic." And this is dangerous for 2 reasons. 1, they don't tell you that microscopic has a very specific meaning. It doesn't just mean very small. But they tell you that it does, and now you think it's correct to say, "I have a microscopic bedroom," which it's not correct to say. 2, when they tell you, "Don't say that, say this," they're basically telling you that it's not okay to use simple words, and that is just wrong. In most situations, simple language is very useful. So again, it's important to continue learning new words, but don't listen to anyone who tells you that it's not okay to keep using the basic words that you already know. Also, people are not stupid. If you use advanced words all the time because you think that it's going to make you sound smart, other people are going to know exactly what you are doing. And instead of impressing people, you're probably just going to annoy them. Finally, business English. This brings us back to the goal of communication, to make someone understand what you mean and feel how you want them to feel, or do what you want them to do. I've seen a lot of videos where a teacher tells you that something is business English when it's really just a long way of saying something that you should have said in just 3 or 4 words. The key to communicating professionally is often just to say exactly what you want to say without saying anything rude, while also not wasting the other person's time. Don't create long, complex sentences to try and make your English sound more professional, because usually it doesn't. It just makes people want to stop listening to you or stop reading your email. Now, if you are giving a speech at a very important event, that might be the time to try and be fancy with the formal language and long sentences. But when you are communicating for business, trying to explain a problem, solve a problem, request information, or sell a product, your goal should be to use fewer words, not more. And if you know that you are communicating with other non-native English speakers, especially if they might have a lower level of English than you, it's best to keep your language simple and direct. So my message today is really just, if you want to continue improving your English, you need to continue learning new words and new expressions. But be very careful when someone says something like, "Don't use this word, use this word. It will make you sound special." Instead, use words and expressions because you know exactly what they mean, and you know that they are the best word for that situation, not just because someone on the internet told you that using this word would make you sound more advanced or more native. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.